If you're trying to build something sustainable and you keep burning out halfway, it's not because you lack discipline. It's because you skipped essence. And you can't build anything that lasts from a version of yourself you're still performing. Let's get into this week's episode. Welcome back to Too Much for the Room. I'm Shay, capacity strategist, researcher, and founder of ESSENTFLOW. And today, we're talking about the phase, that one phase that everyone wants to skip, but nobody can truly afford to. And that phase is essence. Here's what I see happening over and over and over again with high capacity people. You get an idea, a business idea, a creative project, a new direction, and you're excited about it. So what do you do as a high capacity person? You go all in. You build the website, you create the offer, you start posting, you show up consistently, you start doing all of the things. And then somewhere around month 3, month 6, or maybe a year in, you burn out. You lose interest. Or it just stops feeling right. And you think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stick to anything? So what do? You pivot. You rebrand. You start over. And then the cycle repeats. But here's what's actually happening. You're building from a performed version of yourself. You've never stopped to ask, who am I when I'm not performing? What do I actually want? And what matters most to me when no one's looking? Yeah, you skipped essence. And you can't build anything sustainable from a foundation you've never laid. So what exactly is essence? Well, essence is the first phase of ESSENTFLOW. It's identity excavation. It's the process of shedding the performed self to find the true, authentic, genuine one. Who you are inside is where you connect with who you are, what matters to you most, and what you're actually building. Not what you think you should be building or what you think someone might like. And here's the thing about essence. It's going to make you pretty uncomfortable. Why? Because you have to shed your old identity, right? Meaning your comfort identity, what makes you feel like you. It has to destabilize before a new one can form. Which means that essence can feel disorienting. It feels like you're going backwards. It feels like you're wasting time when you could be building something. You ever feel like that? You ever feel like getting clarity is a waste of time? But hear me out. It's not a waste of time. You're not wasting time. You're doing the work that every framework you've ever tried skipped over. You're figuring out who you are so you can build from that. Okay? You're building from who you are inside so you can build from that. Build what is true. Build what is real. Build what is authentic. Build what matters to you. Instead of performing your way through another business model, another framework, another algorithm that you'll abandon within the next 6 months. See, high capacity people, they are really good at skipping essence. And I mean really good. Because I almost did the same thing. And here's why. High capacity people are capable. As simple as that. You're capable. You can build fast. You can figure things out on the fly. You can make anything look like it's working from the outside. So what do? You convince yourself you don't need this phase. You think, I already know who I am. I just need strategy. I just need a better system. I just need to niche down. If it was that simple, why ain't everybody else doing it? If it was really that simple, why is it that we as high capacity people are still struggling to fit into rooms that are too small for us when we know we think big? But here's what you're not admitting. You don't actually know who you are when you're not performing. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm not sorry. Because if you are quick to think that you already know who you are, all you need is a strategy, you just need a better system, or you need to niche down, you're still performing. All of those things need a performer to be able to perform those things for a particular algorithm. But who are you when you are not building a strategy, when you're not building a better system, when you are not niching down? Who are you? Who are you? Because you've been shrinking yourself to fit into rooms that once again were too small for you to begin with for your entire life. And you've been told you're too much. So you learned how to be less. That hits home because that's exactly what it is for me. And now you're so used to performing that you don't even know where the performance ends and the real you begins. That's what essence is for. That right there. It tells you who you are, where the real you begins, and when that performance completely stops. In essence, you might want to change your entire audience multiple times. You might realize the niche you chose was actually the safest version of what you wanted to say. You might delete everything and start over. Not because you're flaky, but because you finally went deep enough to find the truth. See, it's like an iceberg, right? You just see that little mountain of ice at the top. It might not look like much, but when you actually go to the bottom, it is an enormous, catastrophic block of ice that you have not tackled. But see, you're going to start over. You're going to do it again. You're going to do it again and again and again. Why? Because it's normal. That's not you failing. That is you excavating your identity. Every time you go deeper in essence, you discover another layer you were still hiding. Iceberg, anyone? Ice underneath the water? Another way you were still performing. Another room you were still trying to fit into. Every time you shed a layer, you get closer to who you actually are, who you truly are. And here's what happens when you skip essence. You build a business around a version of yourself you're performing. You attract an audience that loves that performance. They love that performance. They love what you put on. But that's not the real you. And then one day you wake up and realize, I'm exhausted. I hate this. I can't keep doing this. So you burn out, you delete, you pivot, and you start the cycle all over again. This is what Essence was for me. I have changed my audience 3, 4, 11 times. My name 1,000,000 times. My focus 1,000,000 times. I have changed so much in essence to where I finally figured out who I was, and that I wasn't just a burnt out creator who has only been creating for 2 months and was like, this is not sustainable. No, I've been doing this kind of work, research, methodology for almost 2 decades. Almost 2 decades. I live for this. I live for this. I study this because it is so important for us. It's so important for us. So, getting back into it. Here's what happens when you do essence. You build from truth. You attract people who resonate with who you truly are and not who they think you are. Not who you're performing to be, but who you truly are inside. And when the challenges come, you don't collapse because you're not holding up a performance anymore. You're standing grounded and rooted in your foundation. Tell me if you hear me now. Good. Now, if you want a sprinkle of razzle-dazzle academic language, let's get into it. Essence is what James Marcia calls identity moratorium. It is the space where your old identity is destabilized and you're actively exploring who you're becoming. It's what Winnicott describes as the true self versus false self. The difference between who you actually are and who you're performing just to survive. And then it's narrative identity. It's the story you've been telling yourself about who you are and the work of rewriting that story to match the truth. Now, this isn't self-help. This is human development theory that is applied to your life and your business. Meaning, your lived experience is the research. And it's non-negotiable if you want to build something that lasts. So if you're in essence right now, if you feel disoriented, uncertain, like you're going around in circles, you're not failing. You're doing the work that we avoid doing all the time. Essence is supposed to feel this way. You're not wasting time. You're excavating the foundation, and everything else will be built upon that foundation that is truth. That is your true, authentic self. And when you finally get to the other side of it, you won't have to burn out or start over or repivot or rebrand, because you'll finally be building from the truth. This is too much for the room. And I'm Shay. And if you're in essence, keep going. You're closer to your truth than you think.